Ever wondered why some brands just stick in your mind? It's no accident. It's the power of motion design. Motion brings feeling to your story. Animated text captures eyes instantly. Visual metaphors make complicated concepts clear silently. This isn't decoration, it's a strategic movement.
Want to know the exact tricks to edit trending reels in After Effects? In this video, I'll break it down for you. I'll show you how to create scroll-stopping content that gets views, likes, and shares. Watch till the end for insider tips. I'm spelling all the secrets on editing trending shots in After Effects, from motion graphics to editing hacks. So let's get started. If you really want the similar colors like me, you can copy this code showing on the screen. Simply copy this code by selecting your text layer, paste it over here. Now you have the same color like me. But in this video, I am using only light green colors. So don't mind, but it's your choice. What color do you like? So let's start by creating a new comp. And from here select the preset Social Media Portrait HD 1080 by 9020 30 fps and select the duration 18 seconds and hit OK. Then right click, select solid and I'll name it BG and also select make comp size and hit OK. By selecting this layer, go to effects and presets and from here search for color gradient. Drag it onto the layer. From here select the color point 1 and adjust its position like so, and also select the point 2 and set it into the middle. And do the same with point 3 and select the point 4 and keep it out of the composition. From here I will copy this color code. Select the eyedropper one and select color light green and select color 2 white. Select color 3 as same color 1. Select color 4 as white color. Then go to project panel and search for texture and drag and drop this texture into the timeline. By selecting this layer, then right click, go to transform and select fit to comp. Okay, you can also press F4 or you can click over here, toggle switches mode, then select the mode multiply. By selecting this layer, press T and set the opacity around 10 and now you can see some details over here which is looking very well. Again right click and select solid. Name it grid and select make comp size and also hit OK. By selecting this grid layer, go to effects and presets and from here search for grid. Double click on grid effect, make sure you have selected grid layer. By selecting this layer here, I will customize some settings of grid. First change the size from width slider and here set the width around 132 something. Set the color black and don't forget to set the opacity 10. Again right click and pre-compose this layer. Make sure you have selected move all attributes. Name it grid and hit OK. Click toggle switches mode and also select this rasterize option which will make it more higher quality because I don't want to lose our quality. Go to tools and from here select the rounded rectangle tool. Make sure this grid layer is selected, then draw a mask like so. Then expand this property and set the mask feather around 150 something. You can also use the mask expansion value to decrease or increase the grid size. Again go to tools, from here select the star tool. By holding shift, draw a perfect star like so. From the shape properties, change its scale like so. Press Ctrl Alt Home to set the anchor point in the middle of this shape and also press Ctrl Home to set this shape into the middle. Go to fill and select the fill solid and select the color dark gray. Turn off the stroke. By selecting this layer, press enter and name it star. Organizing your layers, it's a best practice. Press R to see the rotation property. By holding Alt, click on the stopwatch, and here I will type the time star 8, which will allow us to animate its own region continuously. Again, select this layer, press T for opacity, and set the opacity around 50, which is perfect. And position this star like so. By selecting this layer, press Ctrl D and move the star onto the top. Let's preview the animation. Now go to the tools, select the pen tool. Turn off the fill and turn on the stroke. Set the stroke value around 15 and draw the stroke line something like this. By selecting these points, you can curve this shape like so. And here I will go to the motion tools. From here I will copy this color. Then I will go to the properties, and here I will paste this color code. You can also do the same. And don't forget to rename this layer as a stroke. Go to the effects and presets, and from here search for Gaussian blur. Drag and drop this effect on the stroke layer and change the value around 25. By selecting this layer, and I will also change its stroke size around 10. Okay, so let's animate this stroke. Expand the stroke property, and from here I will select the trim path. And go inside trim path, and from here I will animate its end property. Keyframe the end property. You can also press Ctrl Shift right arrow to move 10 frames forward, and here you need to move your playhead 20 frames forward, and again add the keyframes. Go to the beginning and set the value 0. Then right click and select Easy Ease for smooth animation. Then open the graph editor and set your graph look like this. Alright, background is done. Here I will go to the project panel, and from here search for voiceover and drag and drop it into the timeline. Double press L to see its waveform. Again I will go to project panel, and from here I will search the brain and drag and drop it into the timeline. By selecting this layer, press S for scale property and scale it down, and also set its position somewhere over here like so. Then right click on this layer, go to layer styles, and from here select the inner shadow. Go inside layer styles, and from here decrease the distance value and increase the size value. To create a realistic shadow, I will press Ctrl D and rename it as a shadow. Then go to effects and presets, and from here search fill effect. Add drag and drop on it. You can also double click on it to apply it. Make sure this layer is selected, and here select the color black, something like this. By selecting this layer, go to effects and preset, and from here search for CC radial fast blur. Double click on it to apply. First I'll set the shadow center point top right corner, and here set the shadow value around 90. It's perfect. And here you can see some edges around the shadow. Then I will again go to the effects and presets, and from here I will set the grow bound that will remove the hard edges of the shadow. Double click on grow bounds to apply it, and from here I will set some value of grow bounds, and here you can see something like this. To perfectly apply this grow bounds, move it upside. You can also increase or decrease the pixels value of grow bounds to create a little bit soft edges of the shadow. I'll again go to the effects and presets, presets, and from here I will set the Gaussian blur. Double click on it to apply this effect. And here set the blurriness value around 13 or 15. You can set the blurriness value according to your need. And here by selecting this brain shadow layer, press T for opacity and set the opacity around 50 to decrease the shadow effect. And don't forget to link the shadow layer with our main brain layers, because I want to animate all of these layers at the same time. Now it's time to create a text. Go to the text tool, and from here first I will type the ever. Press enter, and here press Ctrl D, hold Ctrl and drag this layer downward like so. Again press enter, or you can double click over here, and here I will type wonder. Again select this layer, press Ctrl D and hold Ctrl and drag this layer downward like so. Here I will type some brands. Again press Ctrl D and duplicate it, and here I will type stick in your minds. Okay, first I will change the ever text layer font style into Advarian. And from here I will select the Advarian script, which is very cool. And here adjust the text size something like 393. And also change its color dark gray. Next select the wonder layer, go to motion tools, and from here I will copy this color code, which is very cool and perfect for our design. Again I'll go to properties, and from here select the color and paste this code over here, okay, to get the accurate result. And here I will also change its fonts, which is I am using Poppins. I will also select the semi bold italic, and don't forget to increase or decrease its size to get the better result. Okay, position your text something like this and change its color something like this, same to same. Okay, so I'll keep the same color stick in your mind layer, and I'll keep the same color of ever layer and some brains as a dark gray. Okay, again go to tools, and from here select the ellipse tool, and here I will draw a stroke circle like so. Make sure you have selected the fill none and only select the stroke. And here you can see some stroke size around 10, and draw a perfect circle something like this. Okay, and here select the shape layer, stroke shape layer, and go inside, and from here select the dashes, change its dashes value something like this. You can also decrease or increase its stroke value. And always don't forget to rename your layer. I call it dash stroke. Again I will do the same over here. Go to motion tools, and from here select this kind of yellow color by selecting this eyedropper. Okay, here I will create the stroke animation. So for that, at the beginning of our layer, move your playhead around 10 frames forward and add the offset keyframe over here. And again go to the end and again set the value 100, or you can set the value 150, which is perfect for this animation. Okay, so let's see the preview. Okay, place this dash stroke behind this brain layer. Okay, let's create the brain animation. By selecting this brain layer, press P for position and again press R for rotation value. Okay, move your playhead at the beginning little bit forward like so, and here keyframe position and rotation, and move your playhead around 20 frames forward and again add the keyframes. And here I will change the X value and move this brain out of the composition, and also set the rotation value around 20 plus. Then select all of this keyframe, press F9 for smooth animation, then open the graph editor and set your graph like so. Okay, so now it's time to animate our text. So for that, go to the text ever layer. By By selecting this layer, go inside, then click animate, and from here first I will select the position value. Okay, here we are in animator 1. Go inside animator 1 and from here click add, and here I will go to property, and from here I will select the skew value. Again go to add property blur, and from here I will select the opacity. Okay, so here I will make some settings, and first I will also add the blur. For blur, first expand this range selector 1, go inside advanced, and from here I will change its base mode into words. Okay, because I want to animate word to word, and simply go down a little bit more, and here I will change its position value. Okay, so here I want to animate from left to right, so here I will change the X value -70 or maybe 65 is good. Okay, I will also make it skew and set the skew value -25, and also set the blur value around 25, and don't forget to set the opacity 0. Here I will animate with the offset. Move your playhead at the beginning, maybe a little bit forward, and add the offset keyframe over here. Make sure its value is 0. Then move your playhead 20 frames forward and again set the offset value around 100. Not around 100, 100%, 100. Now select both of these keyframes, press F9. You can also right click keyframe assistant, and from here you can select the easy ease for smooth animation. Then open the graph editor and set your graph something like this. Okay, let's see the preview. Okay, here I want to create the same animation of Wonder text layer. So for that I will copy this animator 1, and then I will select the Wonder layer and then press Ctrl V. So now we have the same animation. Okay, so now by selecting both of these layers, press U to see its keyframe and also change its position as the same position like so. And here I will move all of these keyframes at the beginning. So now it's time to animate our next layer, which is some brands. Expand this layer, go inside. First I will select the position, then again go to inside animator 1, add, and from here I will select the blur. Again go to add property, and from here I will select the opacity. Okay, here I will make some settings as I did the earlier. First I will go inside range selector, advanced, and from here I will change the base tone characters into words because I want to animate word by word. And go a little bit down, and from here set the position around 86, and set the blur value 25, and also set the opacity value 0. And here keyframe the offset at the beginning, and again move your playhead 20 frames forward and again add the offset keyframe. Okay, and set the value 100. Then select both of these keyframes, then right click and go to keyframe assistant and select easy ease for smooth animation. Then open the graph editor and set your graph look like this. If you are not able to see this kind of graph, you can right click over here and make sure you have selected edit speed graph over here. Here you can also click on fit selection to view, and now you can easily make your curve like so. Okay, so let's see the preview. Okay, here I will create the same animation, and I will copy this animator 1 and paste it on stick in your mind layer. Okay, so press Ctrl C, copy this effect, copy this animator 1 and paste it on stick layer, something like this. So it's very easy to animate your text in After Effects. Here I will create some delay animation of our text. Okay, so here select all of this text layer, then I will go to the motion tool, and here I will set the delay value around maybe 10, and click over here to create the delay animation of our text. You can again click on it. So now it's perfect. Okay, so now our first animation has been done, and here I will also create some stroke scale animation. Okay, and where is the stick option? Here select the dash stroke layer, press open scale bracket to move it over here. Press S for scale property and add the scale keyframe. And move this keyframe little bit forward. And again add the keyframe and scale it up like so. Select both of these keyframes, press F9 for smooth animation. Open the graph editor and set your graph like so. It will create start slow animation and end fast animation, and here you can see. Okay, at the end I will cut all of this layer by holding Alt and close scale bracket. By selecting this shy button, I will hide all of these background layers from here. Okay, it will only hide these layers from the timeline, it will not delete it permanently. Okay, now it's time to create the next scene. Here I will extend my timeline. And here I will press B to move my timeline work area over here, okay? And here you can see the voice. Okay, here select the type tool and first I will type the its, then press enter and press Ctrl D to duplicate by holding Ctrl, and I will move it over here down, and here I'm gonna type no accident, and here I will also increase its size, and here you can see. Okay, so here I will change the font of its text into Advarian script. Okay, here I will set the font style for no accident text Times New Roman bold italic. So here I will create a line animation. So for that, select the pen tool and click over here by holding shift and click on other point over here. Here also increase the stroke size around 39 and make sure fill color is none. Okay, and select the color dark gray. Okay, by selecting this layer, press enter and rename it underline. You can also increase or decrease its size, something like this. Again, go to the project panel and from here search for accident PNG and drag and drop into the timeline. Press S for scale property and scale it down, and also press P for position property and correctly position it, something like this. Okay, then go to effects and presets and from here search for fill. Double click to apply on it. Okay, here select the eyedropper and select the same color green. Again, by selecting this layer, press Ctrl spacebar and search for drop shadow and apply it. And here set the distance around 10 and also set softness around 28 something. Again, by selecting this layer, right click and go to layer styles and from here select the inner shadow. And here set the distance 0 and also increase the size, around 10 is perfect. You can also experiment with the colors and you can apply the same color on text. And move your playhead over here and press open scale bracket to move all of these layers over here. Now correctly position all of this layer over here. Okay, now it's time to create the animation. Go to window and from here select the extension animation composer, and here I will apply some motion presets. First I will select the its layer and I will apply the Gaussian blur fade eased on it. Click animate in to apply it. Okay, I will apply the preset animated preset, which is slide up bywards. Go to effects and presets and from here search for slide up and click slide up bywards and apply on it. Okay, so now we have slide up animation. Here you can also see the keyframes. You can also expand all of this value. You can go inside over here, something like this, and here you can decrease its position value. Maybe around 100 is good. Okay, so here I will apply the same animation on its text layer. So simply what I will do, I will copy the animation of not accident layers and I will paste it on its layer. Okay, now we have slide up animation. Okay, now let's animate our this line. So for that, expand this underline shape layer and go inside, click add, and from here I will select the trim path. Go inside trim path. Okay, here I will animate its end value. So for that, move your playhead at the beginning, at the end keyframe, move it little bit forward, and again at the end keyframe. and also set its value 0. Select all of this keyframe, press F9 for smooth animation, open the graph editor and click fit selection to view and set your graph something like this. So it will create start fast animation and end slow animation. And here you can also move underlines layer little bit move because I want animation little bit layer. Again by selecting this accident PNG layer, I'll go to animation composer. Okay, so here I will apply the ease position animation this effect. Click animate in. You can also customize this animation by dragging this mark. Okay, so here I will trim everything after the playhead. It's time to create the next animation. First select the text tool and here I will type motion. Now duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl D and here I will type design. Okay, first I will customize motion text layer and here I will also change its size. And here I will select the font Poppins semi bold italic. And again here select the design text layer. I will change its font into Advarian script ITC. And here I'm gonna also increase its size and position it correctly over here into the middle. And here I will set its color into dark gray. Now select both of these text layer, press Ctrl D and duplicate and move them all the way up behind the accident layer. So here I will move it down by selecting both of this layer, press S and scale its size. And also press T for opacity and decrease the opacity, set the value around 10%. Now let's go to the project panel and from here search for eye. Simply drag and drop it into the timeline, place it behind the motion text layer. And also by selecting this layer, press S and scale it down. By selecting this layer, press Ctrl spacebar and search for hue and saturation. And here I will decrease its saturation value and set around -77. Here select this eye layer and press R for rotation value, and by holding Alt click on this rotation and here I will type ×8. Okay, then move this layer over here. Again select this image layer and press Ctrl D and duplicate it and move it upside top left side, maybe over here. Again scale it down by pressing S. Press double E to reveal the expression and here I will set the value -8. Okay, so it will continuously animate it opposite direction. Now again let's go to the project panel and from here search for cursor image and drag and drop into the timeline. Again by selecting this layer and press S for scale it down something like this. Again press Ctrl spacebar and search tint and here you can select the same green color by selecting this eyedropper. Again by selecting this layer I will search for drop shadow and apply it. So here I will set the opacity value around 75 and here I will also set the some softness around 20. Maybe you can set the distance around 10 is perfect. You can also increase or decrease its value until you get your desired result. So now I will hide this cursor layer from here and here I will create some ripple effect. So for that go to tools and from here select the ellipse tool. By holding shift draw a little bit circle over here. Okay, and move this layer over here. And here select the eyedropper and select the same color. Okay, first select this layer, press S for scale, hold shift and press T for opacity. Okay, and here keyframe the scale and opacity and here I will set the scale value 0. I will move it around 20 frames forward and here I will set the opacity value 0 and again set the scale value 100. So here you need to little bit focus on this point. Again select both of these keyframes, press F9 for smooth animation, open the graph editor, click flip selection to view and set your graph something like this. It will create start fast animation at the end slow animation. Okay, let's go back and first select this layer and rename it as ripple. Press Ctrl D and duplicate this layer and move this layer little bit forward. Let's play and see the preview, okay?
The power of motion design.
Now you can see the ripple effect over here. You can also customize these animation according to your need. How much do you want the ripple effect over here? So it's looking, everything is fine over here. You can also change its position of this ripple effect over here. And here I will move ripple effect layers because I want little bit delay animation on it, okay? So here select cursor layer, press P for position. And here I will move it little bit to the right side. Open the graph editor and set your graph something like this. Here it will create the start slow animation, middle fast and end slow. Let's go back and let's play and see the preview.
It's the power of motion design. It's the power of motion design.
Okay, so here I need to set the same value for position. So for that I will select the ripple effect and press B, and here I will set the value around 440. Okay, so first I will animate motion text layer. By selecting this layer, go to effects and presets, and from here search the transform effect and double click and apply on it. Okay, again search for Gaussian blur and double click and apply on it. Here keyframe the blurriness and scale. By selecting this layer, press U to reveal its keyframes and move these keyframes little bit forward, and again set the scale value 0 and also set the blurriness around 25 something, or you can set the value 40 is perfect. Now select all of these keyframes, press F9 for smooth animation, open the graph editor and set your graph something like this. So it will create start fast animation and end slow animation. Okay, so now we have text motion blur animation. Next again select the design text layer, expand its property, go inside, click animate in and first select the position. Again click add and from here select the blur. Simply expand range selector 1, go inside advanced, from here select based on to into words. And also set the position X value 80. Set the blurriness around maybe 35 is good. Okay, here keyframe the offset, move this keyframe at the beginning and again set the offset value 100. By selecting all of these keyframes, press F9, open the graph editor and set your graph something like this. Here by selecting the motion text layer, here I will add the scale value at the end 110.
It's the power of motion design. It's the power of motion design.
Okay, it is looking very cool. Okay, so here I will create the same color of our cursor. Now select all of this layer, hold Alt and press close square bracket to trim everything after the playhead, and also move this work area over here. Okay, so let's create the next scene. First select the text tool and type here motion brings story, and here arrange them all of these. And then go to the project panel and from here search for notebook and simply drag and drop into the timeline. Okay, by selecting this layer, press Ctrl D and rename it as shadow. So here I will create the shadow for this notebook and rename it as shadow. Now select both of these layers and press S and scale it down. First select this shadow layer and go to effects and presets and search for fill. Simply double click and apply it and select the color black because I wanna create the shadow for it. Again, by selecting this shadow layer, go to effects and presets and from here search for CC radial fast blur. If you wanna create the long shadow for your, simply double click on CC radial fast blur and here you can increase its blur value around maybe 80 or 85, 90, which is perfect for you. First I will change its center point and I will move it top right side, and here I will also set its value amount 85. And here you can see some hard edges of shadow. To remove it, I'll go to the effects and presets and search for grow bounds. First I will increase its value and here you can see there is no changes. To make some changes, simply I will move this scroll bounce back all the way up. Here you can see some long shadows over here. Okay, so here I want to create a soft edges for my shadow. So for that, select for Gaussian blur and apply on it. Okay, and here I'll also increase its blurriness value little bit. Now you can see soft edges of the shadow. Okay, and you can also select the shadow layer, press T for opacity. You can also set the opacity around 50 to decrease the shadow, and you can also change the fast blur radial point little bit far or near. Okay, so let's select this notebook layer and search for drop shadow and apply the drop shadow on it. Okay, here I'll set the draw distance value around 10, and here I will also increase softness, and here you can see the difference. Okay, and also link shadow layer with the notebook layer. It's called parenting. In this way you can easily animate both of these layers at the same time. Next, again I'll go to the project panel. From here search for pen and drag and drop into the timeline. Okay, so simply I'll move it over here. Okay, by selecting this layer, right click, go to transform and select for flip horizontal and correctly position this pen over here. Here I will also clear the shadow for this pen. By selecting this layer, press Ctrl D and duplicate it and rename it as shadow. Okay, so here I will do the same as I did earlier to create the shadow for notebook. Okay, simply I'll copy all of these effects of the notebook shadow and I will apply it on the pen shadow. You can save your time. Like, see, you can also make some settings to create the effective shadow. Here you can change its fast blur, center point maybe over here. Okay, so here is one thing to keep in mind. Okay, so always link your shadow layer with your main subject, because I want to animate at the same times a shadow and real image. So next I will move this text layer, which is story. First I will move this text layer all the way up on the top of a notebook. Okay, simply I will rotate its position. For that, select the rotation tool and rotate it something like this. Okay, and correctly position it over here something like this. Simply go to its property, and here you can increase or decrease its size. You can also see its font size over here. Now select the motion layer and change its font into Poppins, and also set the family semi-bold italic. Now select all of these layers and move them little bit down. By selecting all of these layers, press open square bracket to move all of these layers over here. Here select the motion text layer and change its font into Times New Roman, and also set its family bold italic. So let's animate our Brinks text layer. By selecting this layer, press Ctrl spacebar and search for slide and pop in, and now we have this kind of animation.
Motion brings feeling to your story. Motion brings feeling.
So next I am gonna animate this notebook. By selecting this notebook layer, press S for scale, and by holding shift and also press D for opacity. First I will apply the Gaussian blur. Press Ctrl spacebar and search for Gaussian blur. Move your playhead at the beginning. Then keyframe the blurriness and also keyframe the scale and opacity. Move all of these keyframes little bit forward, and again set the blurriness value around 25 and set the opacity 0, and also set the scale value 0. Now select all of these keyframes, press F9, open the graph editor, click fit selection to view, set your graph something like this. Okay, so it will create start fast animation and end slow animation. Okay, here refine the keyframes until you get the desired animation.
Motion brings feeling to your story.
Next I'll animate my story text. So for that, press P for position, and also by holding shift press T for opacity and keyframe the position and opacity. Then move all of these keyframes little bit forward, and again change the position value and also set the opacity 0. Simply select all of this keyframe, press F9, then open the graph editor and set your graph look like this. Next I'll animate my pen. So for that, press P for opacity, press P for position, by holding shift press R rotation and also press T for opacity. So move your playhead over here and keyframe the position, rotation and opacity. Then move your playhead at the beginning and again set the opacity value 0 and little bit rotate it again and also move its position. So select the shadow layer, press T for opacity and set the opacity value at the beginning 0 and at the end 100. Then select all of these keyframes, press F9 smooth animation, open the graph editor and set your graph look like this. Now we have amazing animation. Now select all of these top layer and move them little bit forward, and because I wanna little bit layer animation over here, let's see the preview. You can further refine this animation by setting the delay of these layers, and here I will also move voiceover all the way up, and here I'm gonna also extend my work area to the next. Okay, so in this scene I will remove this stroke animation from here, so that's why. So therefore I will cut the stroke line half over here. Let's create the new solid layer and rename it as a dots. Go to effects and preset and from here search for CC ball action. And here set the ball size around 6, and here you can see little bit detail of ball. By selecting this dots layer, here I will go to tools and from here select the rounder rectangle tool and create a mask something like this. You can also increase the feather around 200 to blending all of these edges. And here you can also select the blending mode multiply. So it's time to create our text. Go to text tool, select the text tool and type here animation. You can also set it align horizontal. Then go to property, decrease its size, and you can also set the font style Times New Roman. Set the family style bold italic, which is looking cool. Okay, duplicate this layer and by holding Ctrl, move this layer downward and next type text and position it over here. Again duplicate this layer and next type. Again duplicate this layer and next type captures. Next duplicate this layer again and here I'll type eyes and position it over here. And finally duplicate this layer and at the end type instantly. Set the font style Advan script ITC, which is looking very trendy and cool. Okay, and here you can also increase or decrease its size. Here follow my setting what I am going to do. You can do the same for all your layers. You can select the same font for capture text layer Advan script ITC and also set the same font for animated layer. So it's time to create the same color for our text. Go to motion tool and copy this color code from here. Select one by one layer and change its color. Do the same with all of other layers. Simply by pressing Ctrl Alt Shift top arrow you can move all of these layers on the top at the same time. This is the magic of shortcut keys. Then you can press the open square bracket to move all of this layer over here, okay, where your playhead is occurring. Okay, so here I will change my text color one by one. You can also select the eyedropper to change your color. Okay, let's go to the projector panel and from here search for the mini notebook PNG and drag and drop into the timeline and correctly position it over here. So first I will crop this PNG, so for that I will create the mask. By selecting this layer, go to the tools, from here select the pen tool, create a mask over here around it. You can also select the rectangle tool to create a mask. Make sure you have the selected layer and create a mask precisely over here. You can also increase or decrease its size. Then again go to the project panel, from here drag and drop iris layer into the timeline and correctly position it over here. And you can also increase or decrease its size by pressing S. And here I will create the same animation for both of these layers at the same time. So for that I'll go to the animation composer, go inside motion presets, and here I will apply the bones scale animation. Okay, click animate. Now we have bones animation in just a one click. Okay, so here I will copy the animation of text layer from motion text. And copy this effects, transform and Gaussian blur, and apply this animation on our these text layer to save our time, because I want the same animation over here. Okay, and go to motion tools, and here I will create the delay for our text layer to create a magic text animation. Okay, so for that you can type over 10 frames, then you can click the offset. So in this way you can save your time. Okay, you can play the settings until you get the desired animation. Okay,
Animated text captures eyes instantly.
again I will also create here stock animation. So for that, go to the tools, from here select the pen tool, click over here, and you can create the stock animation over here, something like this. By selecting these handles you can customize or you can make more curvature. Okay, go to fill, select the none, and select the stock solid, and move the stroke layer all the way down over here, and here I will select the same color, and also rename this layer as a stroke, and press T for opacity, and also decrease its opacity around 50. By selecting this layer, go to the effects and presets and search for Gaussian blur, and set the blurriness around maybe 50 is good. You can also increase or decrease the value for perfection. So let's animate our stroke. So for that, expand the stroke layer, go inside, click add, and from here I will select the trim path. Go inside trim path, and here I will animate its end value. Okay, keyframe the end value and move your playhead a little bit forward, or you can move this keyframe forward over here, and again you can set the value 0. Then press F9. You can also scale it up, something like this. Okay, and let's see the preview.
Animated text captures eyes instantly.
Now select all of these layers, then hold Alt and close square bracket to trim everything after the playhead. It will cut only which layers are selected. Okay, so now it's time to create our next scene. So for that, extend your work area, something like this. You can place your playhead over here. You can press N for the end work area. Okay, first listen our audio.
Visual metaphors make complicated concepts clear silently.
So let's go to the text tool, and here I will type the visuals. Set it align horizontal and vertically center. Guys, this animation is very informative and reported very interesting, so don't skip this part over here. Duplicate this layer. Here I will type metaphors. You can also change its font style into Advanced Script ITC. Don't forget to align it horizontal or vertically. Here I'll change the color for visuals into green, light green. Okay, so here I will create this kind of scene over here. So for that, from here select the rounded rectangle tool and draw a shape something like this. Make sure you have selected the fill solid and select the stock none. And here I will set the same color for our shape. Here press Ctrl Alt Home to set the anchor point in the middle. Then you can press the Ctrl Home to set the shape in the middle, and also select this ruler. You can also press Ctrl R. So here I will create some guides to place our shapes accurately in our scene, correctly over here in the middle. Then again, by selecting this layer, press Ctrl D, duplicate, move it over here. Again, select both of these shape layer, press Ctrl D and move them all the way up. by selecting these shapes and move them downward over here. Then move all of the shape in the middle and aligning them with the guideline. Okay. Then go to the project panel. First select the image layer and drag and drop into the timeline and scale it down. A little bit rotate, and then you can position it correctly over here. And here I don't need the guide, so that's why I will remove it over here. So in this way I will do the same with all of other layers. With shoes layer, simply drag and drop all of these images into the timeline, scale down, and you can correctly position in the middle in every shape layer. Okay, and now we have this kind of scene over here. So select all of these layers, press the open square bracket to move all of these layers over here. So first select all of this layer. By holding Ctrl, click anchor point to set the anchor point of every shape layer and every image in the middle, because I want the same animation at the same time. Okay, here I will select all of the shape layer, then I will go to the motion tool, and here I will set the anchor point bottom left corner by clicking over here. Okay, you can save your time by using these motion tools. I have already made it full tutorial on it, how to use this motion tool. Okay, and you can set the anchor point all of these images manually. Okay, so for that select one by one images layer and then go to the anchor point and set the anchor point of every image's bottom left corner, because I want the same animation at the bottom left corner. So this is very important. So guys, don't skip this part. So next part is very more important. So here pay attention again. So here I will animate only shape layer, and first link all of these images with the shape layer, because I will only animate our shape layer, so our other images will automatically animated. Okay, to save our times, so that's why I am going to linking all of these images with our shape layer. So here select all of these shape layers, press S for scale property and move your playhead little bit forward, keyframe the scale. Okay, then move playhead at the beginning and set the scale value 0. Then select all of these keyframes, press F9 for smooth animation. Open the graph editor and set your graph look like this. Okay, so let's see the preview. You can also further refine these keyframes to get the desired animation. You can also create the delay animation for these layers. Okay, by clicking over here in the motion tool panel. Now you have much cool animation. So how to animate all of these text? It's very super simple. Okay, to save our time, I will apply the first animation, which is our wonder layer. So go to at the beginning scene. From here expand this wonder text layer, copy this animator 1, and again select the metaphors and visual text layer and press Ctrl V and paste it over here. And now we have the same animation over here on visual text layer and also on metaphors. To make our scene more spicy, you can also further create some more animation on it. Okay, so for that what I will do, simply I'll go to the layers. From here select the null layer, move this null layer over here, and here I will link my text layer with the null layer. Okay, by selecting this null layer, press P for position value. Okay, keyframe the position over here at the beginning and also at the end. Okay, so here I will also change its position of my text at the end. Here again change the position of text. After that select all of these keyframes, press F9, open the graph editor and set your graph something like this. You can also perfectly align all of your images and shape layer to create the more beautiful scene. And don't forget to align your keyframes at the same time to create more visual appealing animation.
Visual metaphors make complicated concepts clear silently. Visual metaphors make complicated concepts clear silently.
And here you can see word silently. So that's why I will drag and drop my muted icon over here. Okay. Move this image over here. Press Ctrl spacebar and search for tint and also scale it down by pressing S. So here I will create the scale animation for our muted icon. So for that, at the beginning I will increase its size and at the end I will set its original size. Then select all of these keyframes and smooth them. And set the graph something like this. You can also increase or decrease the opacity, or you can create the opacity animation over here. Okay, so for that, by holding shift, opacity for opacity, set the opacity value at the end 100 and at the beginning 0. You can also set the same graph for both of these keyframes. So now our voiceover perfectly aligns with our visuals.
Visual metaphors make complicated concepts clear silently.
Okay, so here I will trim all of this layer. First select all of this layer, hold down Alt and press close square bracket. Here I will also extend my work area and first listen the audio.
This isn't decoration.
First select the text tool and type here, this isn't. And also decrease its size. Currently I am using the Times New Roman font and its italic family. And also set it vertically. Now press Ctrl T and duplicate this layer and type here decoration. By selecting this decoration text, change its style bold italic. Here you can also increase or decrease its size. Okay, so let's go to the project panel and drag and drop diamond image into the timeline. Again go to the project panel and from here drag and drop pillar image into the timeline and press S and scale it up. You can also press P and position it correctly. You can place this pillar image on the top of this layer. By selecting this layer, go to Effects and Presets and from here search for Drop Shadow. And set the distance value around 8 and also increase the softness. Again by selecting this layer, go to Layer Styles and from here select the inner shadow. Decrease the distance value and also increase the size around 46 something, which is perfect. Now let's copy this drop shadow effect and paste it onto the diamond layer. Okay, so let's animate our this isn't text layer. So for that, expand this text layer, go to animate and from here select the position. Again go to add and select opacity. Here I will set the X value around 50 and here I will also set the opacity 0. Then again go to add, from here select the blur and set the blur value around 25, which is perfect for this animation. Okay, now expand this range selector, go inside advanced and based on change it into words. Okay, so let's animate our text. Place your playhead at the beginning and select all of this layer. First press open square bracket and move them over here. Then keyframe the offset and move this keyframe little bit forward. Again set the offset value 100. Then press F9 for smooth animation. Open the graph editor and set the graph something like this. Okay, here I will again select all of these keyframes. Right click keyframe assistant and here select time reverse keyframe because I want this kind of animation. Okay, I will also create the same animation on decoration layer, so that's why I will copy this animator 1 and select the decoration layer and press Ctrl V and paste it over here. Make sure you have aligned the keyframes at the same time. Okay, here I will change little bit different animation, so that's why here I will change its position Y value around 50. Okay, because I want the animation from down to upward. Okay, now we have this kind of animation. This animation in After Effects is very super easy. You can create the delay between your text layer. Okay, so let's animate our images. So for that, first select the pillar and layer and then go to the anchor point. From here, select this anchor point and place this bottom center. So again, select the diamond layer and link it with the pillar layer. Okay, by selecting this pillar layer, press S for scale. While holding shift, press T for opacity. Keyframe the opacity and scale over here and move this keyframe little bit forward, and again set the scale value 0 and also set the opacity value. By selecting this layer, go to effects and presets and from here search for Gaussian blur and drag and drop on it. You can also double click to apply this preset. Okay, so here I will also create the blurriness animation, so that's why keyframe the blurriness. At the beginning set the value around maybe 25 and at the end set the value 0. Now select all of these keyframes, press F9 to smooth them. Open the graph editor and set your graph something like this. Let's play and see the preview. You can also decrease or increase the duration between your keyframes to create a long animation. Okay, so let's see the preview. So now we have this kind of animation. Now it's time to trim our layers. Select all of these layers, hold Alt, press close square bracket to trim everything after the playhead. So now we have last animation finally. First listen the audio over here.
It's a strategic movement. It's a strategic movement.
Here first I will change the color of this isn't text layer. By selecting this text layer, go to properties and from here select the color dark green. And here I will also change its font into Times New Roman Italic. Okay, so create this scene. First I will duplicate this text layer and move it upside. And here I will type only its. Again by selecting this layer, press Ctrl D, duplicate it and here type a strategic. Again by selecting this layer, duplicate it and here I will type movement. First select the text as strategic and change its font into Edwardian script ITC. And here I will also increase its size and change its color into light green. It's looking more awesome. Or you can set the light green colors for movement text layer and for its text layer. By selecting this layer, press U to reveal the keyframes and here you can see we have the same animation. And delete all of this keyframe from here. Okay, so let's go to the project panel and from here drag and drop the compass image into the timeline and correctly position it over here. First select the text movement layer and press S for scale and also press T for opacity while holding shift. Keyframe scale and opacity and move these keyframes little bit forward. And again set the scale value 0 and also set the opacity value 0. You can also set the scale keyframe at the end and then you can at the beginning you can set the scale value 0. Okay, and here you can set the value opacity value at the beginning 0 and you can set at the end 100. Now select all of this keyframe, open the graph editor and set your graph something like this. So now we have the animation this kind of, and here I will also move my text layer little bit forward to create the animation till to the end. Okay, so let's animate our compass image. So for that, by selecting this layer, press P for opacity and add the position keyframe and move this keyframe little bit forward and again add the keyframe at the beginning. By holding shift, press R for rotation and move this keyframe again forward. And again here I will rotate it little bit around maybe 40 to 50. Okay, so here at the beginning I will move my compass out of the composition to create the compass coming in animation. Okay, and in the middle again I will create another keyframe. Okay, so that's why I will move the rotation keyframe at the end. Again at the end I will move my playhead at the end and again I will move compass over here. Okay, now select all of this keyframe, press F9 for smooth animation, open the graph editor and set your graph something like this. Okay, so let's play and see the preview, and now we have this kind of animation.
It's a strategic movement. It's a strategic movement.
Okay, so at the end, if you really want to create a realistic movement of your animation, and don't forget to enable this motion blur option from here. And for that, select all of these layers by pressing Ctrl A and click motion blur. So let's make a little bit more spicy to our scene. Okay, so let's go to layer, and from here select the adjustment layer. Again, go to effects and presets and search for noise. And here I will set the noise value 5. And here you can see little bit detail over here, which will make us more engaging. Again, select the compass, and here I will create the shadow for our compass. So that's why by selecting this compass, press Ctrl D and duplicate it. Then go to effects and presets and search for fill. Here change the color into black. Again, go to effects and presets, and from here search for CC radial fast blur. And here you can set the value around 85 or maybe 50 is perfect. And here you can see some hard edges around this compass. To remove the hard edges, again I will go to the effects and presets, and from here search for grow bounds. Simply drag and drop, or you can double click to apply on it. Okay, and here you can see it is not working. To work it, so I will move this grow bounds a little bit above of this CC radial fast blur effects. Okay, so here I will also increase the grow bounds value to create a realistic shadow of this compass. Okay, you can also change the center point of CC radial fast blur at top right corner over here, something like this. And here you can see, here I'm gonna also increase its amount, maybe around 80 is perfect. Okay, and to create soft edges of your shadow, you can also apply the Gaussian blur on it. And here I'm gonna also increase its value, blurriness value around 34 is perfect. You can also increase or decrease the opacity of the shadow by selecting this layer, press T and set the opacity around 50. And here you can see the drop shadow effect of this compass. By selecting this compass, right click and go to layer styles, and from here select the inner shadow. Here I will decrease the distance and set the size around 17. Now you can see little bit the shadow effect around the edges of this compass. Okay, so let's finally see the final preview of our final video. Okay, to see our final output, let's render our video. Okay, press Ctrl M, and here you can see, first select the video format, and I always choose the H.264 for YouTube best video. Here you can also select the output location, where do you want to save your video file. Okay, click save and click render to see your final result. Okay, so let's see the final video.
Ever wondered why some brands just stick in your mind? It's no accident. It's the power of motion design. Motion brings feeling to your story. Animated text captures eyes instantly. Visual metaphors make complicated concepts clear silently. This isn't decoration. It's a strategic movement.
If you really enjoyed the video, like to support the channel, comment your thoughts or what tutorial you want next. Subscribe for more while editing and motion design tutorials every week. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.